Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from asortofinterestinglife.com. You're joining me at my mum's house today and we're going to have a quick look at walking boots. So, first of all I'll apologise for the wild echo in the hallway here and also point out this lovely little coat for a dog. Let's get to the boots. As you can see we've got quite a few to have a quick chat about. Now the reason that we're at my mum's house and not on board the boat is that I thought, right, there's a pair of boots here that I want to show you, my old pair of Peter Storm boots that I've worn more than anything else in my life. And I thought, right, I'll pop these in my backpack, pedal into town, only to discover that over the last year, at some point, my old pair of boots has been thrown out. So that's not quite gone to plan. So these are going to be the first ones you have a quick look at. These are the Carrymore Border hill walking shoes. And as you can see, these are a nice simple pair of just shoe style walking boots. Not all this sort of stacked up around the ankle, that sort of thing. But before we talk about these individually and have a closer look at what you might be interested in, I thought I'd just share a few basic tips and general ideas about what you should be looking for when you're buying walking boots. Now, first of all, I think obviously comfort is the important one. So I've read people saying that you should go checking the size of shoes and trying them on in the afternoon because your feet sort of expand and swell over the day. So that obviously if you went first thing in the morning, you've apparently got the potential that by the afternoon you'll find that your shoes you've just bought are quite tight. But something as well that I do is always wear, if I can do some acrobatics here, some nice thick socks. So, because I always wear either two pairs of thin socks or one pair of thick socks when I'm out walking, obviously you want to be wearing on your feet what you're likely to actually be wearing when you've got your boots, when you're trying them on. So that's just two things to think about. Make sure obviously they're not tight. Remember as well that both of your feet are likely to be different sizes. So you might have one tight shoe if you don't test both of them out. And obviously what you'd rather have one shoe slightly bigger than one shoe too tight on your slightly bigger foot. So those are just a few things to think about. Anyway, on to these. Now, I think rather than actually talk about the shoes individually, I've talked rather more about the style of them. Now, these are what I've been wearing the most recently, and as you can see, it's been extremely wet weather and they're extremely muddy. And there's been some very, very muddy toe paths, as I'm sure you can imagine. Now, what I like about these is, first of all, I have a waterproofing spray that I spray on these, and it really helps to keep them nice and dry. But because they're sort of decent boots, now what I'm personally interested in is the soles, not wearing away in an instant. And I did have a pair that I bought, Mountain Warehouse, Mountain Life boots, and the soles, I've never seen anything like it, literally wore away in one walk. And obviously I took them back instantly and decided never to give them any sort of airing on YouTube, which I sort of regret now because I should have warned people. But anyway, and you can see that even as these soles and the grips have started to wear away quite a lot, they're still really rigid, and that's something that I personally look for. And you'll find with a lot of shoes, they're quite flimsy and you can really make a dent and push your thumb in. Whereas these, some of the few these days that actually still live up to what I expect. But that's my personal preference. And as you can see, these laces on these are nice and simple. There's no hooks or anything, just standard laces, what you would expect. So these are what I've been wearing recently because obviously you can imagine these are pretty much just basic simple shoes. So there's none of this hooking the laces up or anything like that. Just put them on in 2 seconds like you would any other shoe. Whereas something like these, the Jack Pike Tundra boots, you can see first of all just how long the laces are, which gives you an idea of how much extra lacing can go into these. Now I have worn these in the past for a short period, just laced up to where they are as the actual proper loops, but that gives you a huge lace, and obviously you've got your leg flapping around in all this open space here. So these I wear more sort of, I don't know, not on really long walks, but I've been wearing these if it's been really bad weather and if the ground's been really, really soaking and sodden, And the reason I wear these in those cases is obviously I can tuck my trousers and everything down, and hopefully that keeps everything nice and dry. And because they do come up, as you can see, a huge way right up my shin, then there's very few splashes, and there's nothing that can get down in the side like where normal boots come up to, or normal shoes come up to around your ankles. These obviously don't have any sort of problem like that. So these I quite like. I really do enjoy just the, I don't know, first of all, just the look of them. But there's something about lacing up these boots and getting them all proper solid around your shin that I feel as if I've got a huge amount of protection from any sort of twisted ankles or anything like that. I mean, that's probably not the case, but it just gives you that feeling, or it certainly gives me the feeling. And again, you can see on here, where you've got nice, thick, absolutely rock-solid soles there. I cannot get much movement at all, if any, out of those. But obviously these, having all this extra lacing, I mean, you've got 4 of these hooks on each side, so you literally lace them right up to the top there. And that's something that is definitely a feature that puts them out of the, just quickly throw them on and run up to your friend's house, or quickly pop to the shops in these, or anything like that, because it takes so long to lace them on. When they're sat on the mat by the door next to a normal pair of shoes like I've just shown you, these don't get that casual usage like they might do if they were slightly lower. Now, the boots I really wanted to show you were an old pair of Peter Storm boots, which I bought in 2009. They cost me, I think, £65, and amazingly, they lasted and lasted and lasted. I did thousands of miles in them, and it was probably 2011, 2012 that I actually finally got a new pair of boots, and since then nothing has lived up to what they were like back then. And certainly if you were trying to find a really good pair of boots like I used to have, which I'll show you a sort of similar style now, then for £65 you've got no chance, which is a great shame, because I feel that it's, well, I mean, now I'm looking at these boots, and to get something that was similar to what I had then, the cheapest I've seen is £110, which is an awful lot if you ask me, for something that once upon a time cost nearly half the price. Anyway, these are not my boots, but these are similar to what I used to have. They were just plain leather all the way over, and just had a slight black edging around there. But these that come up just over your ankle, these are my favourite type of boots. And they just give that little bit of protection from, obviously, twisting your ankle. Like I say, it probably doesn't, but, oh well, it's nice to at least believe that on my part. But these ones are slightly higher up, because mine only had, I think, 2 loops to lace them up. But they were just that, it's a proper boot, if you know what I mean. It's not like those Tundra boots I've just shown you that go all up your thigh. They're just up over your ankles. So that helps with a lot of the stuff if you're walking through like, tall grass and that, not having loads of stuff like falling down into your shoe, which is one of my pet peeves. But these are a sort of a good comparison. That's a very similar thing. This is a pair of Berghaus boots, and these have got a good sort of, I don't know, they're very similar, but just slightly higher than I would personally choose, I think. Obviously, I'd have to test each shoe on its individual merits. Just to show you as well, if I duck down, a much smaller pair of shoes. These are my mum's. These are from Mountain Warehouse, so I can't possibly comment on the quality of these. But this is a similar sort of thing. Obviously, she's got very small feet, as you can see there, so that makes these boots look a lot taller and a lot shorter than maybe they actually are in real life. They almost look like they're towers with a little bit sticking off the front. But as you can see, these have only got 2 loops there to hook, 2 hooks to hook the lace around there. And this is probably more like what I had, just slightly lower on the ankle than the Berghaus ones we've just had a look at. And again, those are what I personally prefer, but that's obviously my own personal taste. And of course, a lot of it's got to depend on how much walking you want to do, what sort of walking you want to do. Because I mean, I've had a pair of trainers because I have a problem with one of my feet, and I've wore those an awful lot up until this really bad weather set in, and I couldn't do it anymore because of extremely wet feet constantly. But just wearing a pair of trainers for so long, and I was sticking to doing pretty decent sized walks, like sort of say between 8 and 12, maybe 15 miles tops. You could tell that the trainers were wearing out in no time and all the sides were disappearing, and they just weren't up to a proper good session of serious walking repeatedly. Whereas obviously these you hope are a little bit more durable and obviously have the thicker soles and all that, because they're not intended to be super lightweight shoes. When we got to this bad weather, I started wearing my little shoes, the first ones that I showed you again, and I instantly started to get blisters and all sorts. And I was thinking, oh, flipping heck, why have I got these shoes that I can't wear? But after I started to mingle and slowly broke them in, after trying to wear them constantly from buying them all week straight away, it was, look at this, they've actually sort of moulded themselves to my feet. And not overdoing it, basically, stopped me from getting terrible blisters. And now, I mean, you might have seen my video I've uploaded recently where I ended up walking 21 miles in them on a very unexpectedly long trip. And that perfectly sums up, my feet were absolutely fine when they got back, or when I got back. They didn't come back on their own. But that's just another thing to consider, like, what sort of walking do you want to do? How much? What terrain? And how much sort of, how do the individual shoes feel to you personally? Because I can sit here, or stand here and go, yeah, I like shoes that come up to the ankles perfectly, and yet I haven't worn anything like that for over a year. So obviously that's not an absolute die-hard thing that I'm only ever going to wear boots like that. So I'll say thank you very much. I'm going to pop these shoes down, back away from the camera. I'll say thank you very much for watching. This has been a bit of a random video because I wasn't expecting not to have my main feature shoes that I wanted to show you. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos. Please subscribe for a load more outdoors stuff, walking, biking, all sorts of stuff in the Welsh Hills. Obviously living on a narrowboat videos. And until the next time, feel free to add me on Facebook, like the Facebook page, Twitter, check out my books about living on a boat, The Narrowboat Lad and The Narrowboat Lad Living the Dream. And until the next time, have a fantastic day. Farewell.